It's the show the establishment warned you about.
That's right, it's the Dr. Tommy Show. Welcome back, broadcasting from the free state of Florida. I am your host, Dr. Tommy McElroy, from Echelon Health Studios, joining you live, streaming on Rumble and YouTube. Today I was going to talk about Charlie Kirk, and the title of my podcast, part of it said Charlie Kirk RICO Talk, and then I went to broadcast it to Rumble and YouTube, and YouTube said, you can't do that. I guess you can't say RICO in the title, so I'm going to say it live and see if it gets censored or not. This is back to when we started. We started streaming on YouTube, and then they started censoring us. And they censored me the first time when I was talking about 2,000 Mules, which is a documentary by, I forgot his name right now. Always happens when you're broadcasting, you forget things that you know automatically. I don't know what that is. Anyway, 2,000 Mules was about the election and stolen election. And apparently you weren't allowed to talk about it. So they banned me from that, or they didn't ban me. They gave me a strike or whatever. I don't forget what they did. Anyway, after that I said, screw you people, and I'm going to Rumble. And so they went to Rumble. And then I started uploading stuff over to YouTube as Rumble got full. And then I uploaded something else. It was about vaccinations. And then again, they banned it. So I said, I'm never going to use YouTube again. And then after that, what do you know? You know how it is? They say a conspiracy is just 6 months in advance of the truth. Well, both of those conspiracies were then allowed to be used in polite company, and then YouTube restored those two videos. So then I said, well, I'm going to start streaming back on YouTube just to get a little extra there and see what happens. And lo and behold, when I did this RICO talk in my title, they were not going to allow it, I think. That's what it was, because I took that out. So if you look on Rumble, it says Open Carry in Florida, new Robert Plant, Charlie Kirk RICO Talk. And then on the YouTube one, it just says Open Carry in Florida, new Robert Plant, Charlie Kirk. That's it. Thank you for joining us. It's also on the audio version if you want. So Robert Plant has some new music coming out. This music I heard last night on Spotify for the first time. I'm going to try to play a little bit of it here and see if they will allow it, meaning they, the streaming people. This would be for what they call fair use, because I'm just trying to promote Robert Plant's music. And this is a song called Chevrolet, which is a remake song. Anyways. So that's the new Robert Plant. Sounds like it doesn't really sound like Robert Plant to me. It sounds more like I don't know. It sounds kind of like I don't know. It doesn't sound like regular Robert Plant. He's speaking in like low register or something like that, quieter. So we'll see what happens with that. That is coming out apparently. There's two songs off of that, and it's coming out September 26th on None Such Records, which used to be where Black Keys was. I don't know if they're still on None Such or not. I don't know if they are, but anyway, that's Robert Plant along with his new singing partner now, and her name is Suzy Diane, Suzi Diane Dian. I'm not familiar with her, but it sounds pretty good. There's another song that's out that you can listen to early if you go to robertplant.com. So that's Robert Plant. And then another new thing that we have is there's open carry in Florida now. This is a new thing as of, I didn't even know about this. This is Grady Judd speaking here. This is Grady Judd talking about open carry in Florida.
Hello everyone, Sheriff Grady Judd here. The First District Court of Appeal
Sorry about that.
in the state of Florida has ruled that our law prohibiting open carry is not valid. That's right. So effective September 25th, if you open carry a firearm in Florida in a public place, it's okay. Here's some things that you need to remember. First and foremost, I'm an advocate of the Second Amendment. I'm a supporter of the Second Amendment. I'm a fan of the Second Amendment. So exercise your Second Amendment rights. But it's important to remember a few things. Understand the law. For example, even with the ruling by the court where you can open carry firearms, as well as the law that allows you to carry firearms concealed, you can't do it in government buildings. You can't do it at colleges. You must understand the law. You need also to understand the law about stand your ground. I've seen well-meaning people end up in jail because they pulled a firearm or used a firearm in violation of the law, thinking they knew what they were talking about. So please, if you carry a firearm, be proficient. Go to the range. Know how to use it. Know how to safely carry it. And with open carry, you lose the surprise element. Everyone knows you have the firearm. And you may be a target of someone who wants to steal your firearm. So personally, I like carrying a firearm concealed, and you can in Florida. But I also understand that some people want to openly carry firearms, and they can. Now, when it comes to private businesses, for example, any private business, any private residence, you can be restricted from carrying your firearm openly or concealed there. So, here's what happens. If you go to a private business or to someone's residence and you're asked not to carry the firearm, you have to leave with it. If you stay there, then you're committing armed trespass, which is a felony. So please, we love our Second Amendment, but it does come with some restrictions of when and where and how. So learn the law. We're going to provide some state statute numbers for you to read and be aware of. God bless you. Take care.
All right. That's Grady Judd. Thank you, Grady. And we have in Florida, we have in our office a sticker on the door that says, lawful concealed carry is permitted in this business. And now we have to get one, I guess it's going to say, lawful open carry is permitted in this business if you are a member. So we'll see. What else do we have here? So that's going to take place September 25th, although I've seen that some counties are not enforcing the law that says you cannot open carry now. I think Hillsborough is no longer enforcing that law, and Pinellas is no longer enforcing that law, I think. Either way, check with your local jurisdictions. Don't rely on me. But Polk County is going to allow it to the current law to lapse on the 25th, which is when the court said it needs to lapse. But some, like I said, a couple counties, I think it's Hillsborough and Pinellas, but don't quote me on that, are already saying we're not going to enforce that law that says you cannot open carry starting now. I guess because just out of ease. But like Grady Judd said, you do need to know the law. I mean, obviously, being allowed to open carry does not mean you can just wantonly threaten people with guns because you can open carry. You know, and it's in the case too, it's interesting. The case, if you look at it, the judge wrote that Florida, one of the reasons that they allowed open carry was they said that Florida is an outlier. Florida is kind of like this strange case of open carry where it's not allowed, and it joins all these other states that do not allow open carry, and those states are like California and Illinois, and so it basically says this is we're basically saying we're going to put Florida into the normal context of the Second Amendment as it is pertaining to being allowed to carry. There's going to be people who are going to say that, oh no, this is a terrible, but they said the same thing whenever they passed a law earlier this year that said you can have permitless carry. And people were up in arms saying, oh my gosh, it's going to be like the Wild West and blah, blah, blah. It never happened. Oh, here it goes. This is the First District Court of Appeal opinion here. I'll just put that up there. This is from floridacourts.gov, First District Court. It says here, appellant Stanley Victor McDaniels versus State of Florida. And then it goes down here and it says Section 1A, Florida's open carry ban. Florida is an outlier, along with California, Connecticut, and Illinois, is one of the few states that generally prohibit the open carry of firearms. Now, I bet most people, including myself, did not know that. We just figured that it was the norm, but it is not the norm. As you can see, we joined California, Connecticut, and Illinois, and all those are People's Republic states. So that is to be expected in the People's Republic of California and People's Republic of Connecticut and People's Republic of Illinois. It is not to be expected in the free state of Florida, but yet here we are. So it took this gentleman named McDaniels to start the cascade of events which led to where we are today. I'm just going to give you a quick overview. It said that McDaniel's conviction, he was convicted on the 4th of July in 2022, not very long ago. He stood at an intersection and he was holding he was holding a copy of the United States Constitution in one hand, was waving at vehicles that drove by with his other hand. He also had a loaded handgun tucked inside his pants using an inside the waistband holster. The holstered firearm was visible to anyone who passed by, but McDaniels was not threatening anyone. He had also set up a camera on a tripod to record his activity. So here he was on the corner waving the Constitution and waving, and then he had a firearm tucked in his pants. And anyway, they come back and arrest him. It says, officers later obtained a warrant for McDaniel's arrest for openly carrying a firearm in violation of Florida's open carry ban. Now, I don't know if he did this on purpose. If he did this as an operation to be arrested to come to where he is now, where he won his case, or if this was just happenstance. Whatever the case was, he was arrested, and he was arrested in Pensacola. So Pensacola, Panhandle's generally conservative, so I'm not sure what the ramifications were, but he says he was peacefully arrested. He was convicted and charged and sentenced to probation and community service. And then eventually, I guess when he started his appeals case, and here we are. Now, here's the kicker. We are in the free state of Florida currently. And our Governor DeSantis, has an attorney general who is not going to appeal this. So I am no legal expert, but I would assume that there are some time constraints on when an appeal can be filed. So now this appeal is going to be not appealed. This case is not going to be appealed by the state of Florida. And then that will mean that this will become law. And apparently it will be permanent. But like I said, I don't know if there's some type of way that some other politician can come into office and then appeal it later. I think what would have to happen would have to be a new court case. So someone would have to sue and say open carry is not constitutional, and here's why, and go back up the food chain to the wherever and get that done. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm no lawyer. But anyway, open carry in Florida is now going to be law of the land starting September 25th. What else do we have here? So I'm going to play a little bit of Victor Davis Hanson off his, Daily Signal podcast.
Charlie Kirk, a friend of all of ours, was shot and killed in Utah. This is the turning point. In the United States, we don't kill media people. It's not occurring in a vacuum. I know that both sides have extremists, but when you look at the Steve Scalise shooting, and then you look at 2 near successful assassination attempts on Donald Trump, and then you have these spin-off things. Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Health, and he's, gunned down and assassinated by Luigi Mangione? Was there outrage from the left? No. We are legitimizing political violence.
So that was Victor Davis Hanson on his Daily Signal podcast. So he has a excuse me. He has a point there about the one-sided nature of the political violence that we're experiencing, and Scott Adams also has an opinion on this. I want to play what he had to say. Eventually. All right, this is from the Gateway Pundit. This is Scott Adams, and he's talking about what happens when there's the Charlie Kirk, or maybe it's not going to play. Anyway, Scott Adams had a similar point to play about what happens when you attack people and call them fascists. And fascist, it was a popular term used for people like Charlie Kirk, and probably has ended what caused him to end up being assassinated in part was this constant vilification by the left of Charlie Kirk. And he says, Charlie Kirk says, I believe the Democrat Party has to be totally dismantled. That was what he said eventually. But his point was that the constant drumbeat of fascism is what led to him being assassinated. And so we have to wonder, well, if that's the case, then why was all of this happening? And here's from James Woods. This is his montage of what he thinks led to it, and it is again about the fascism.
Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism, is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of race.
Did you see her looking over to her side there to read while she was talking about this?
Racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
Mm-hmm. We are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, no one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core.
So that's from James Woods, and that is from Zero Hedge. Hat tip to Zero Hedge, who embedded that from James Woods. And the title of the article from Zero Hedge is Senior Trump Official Declares War on Far-Left NGOs Sowing Chaos Nationwide. So they are talking about now NGOs, which are non-governmental organizations, that openly call for the destruction of capitalism in the Western world, as according to the article. It says these groups, together with far-left politicians, spread dangerous rhetoric amplified by globalist corporate media outlets, pouring toxic cocktails for liberal, educated people indoctrinated in progressive schools who believe that anyone with a dissenting opinion is a Nazi, fascist, or racist. So that's the crux of the matter. Are these coordinated? Is this something that is not just done like one-off assassinations, but is this something that's coordinated? Is this something that is a RICO case? Is this something that can be done pursued through RICO. So what is a RICO case? So RICO cases are, it is unlawful for, this is from the Department of Justice, it is unlawful for anyone employed by or associated with any enterprise engaged in or the activities of which affect interstate or foreign commerce to conduct or participate directly or indirectly in the conduct of such enterprises' affairs through a pattern of racketeering activity or collection of unlawful debt. So basically what it's saying is there are groups there. If you are part of a group and there is a pattern established where you engage in or affect interstate or foreign commerce that is unlawful, then you can be charged as part of a RICO. So RICO was originally brought up because of organized crime, and I think it was in the 70s. And actually, the guy that was behind RICO was there's a book called The Five Families, and that goes in a lot into the the history of RICO and the guy who wrote the RICO statute, or helped write it. And he said that when he first wrote it, he had to go around and convince people to start using this statute. He's like, this is a powerful thing that we have passed here. You can use this, and you can put these organized criminals, organized crime figures in jail or in prison. And the people had to be convicted. I'm sorry, the people had to be convinced to use it. This is more about the RICO statute from the Department of Justice. A more expansive view holds that in order to be found guilty of violating the RICO statute, the government must prove beyond a reasonable doubt, 1, that an enterprise existed, 2, that the enterprise affected interstate commerce, 3, that the defendant was associated with or employed by the enterprise, 4, that the defendant engaged in a pattern of racketeering activity, and 5, that the defendant conducted or participated in a conduct of the enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity through the commission of at least 2 racketeering activities, so forth, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, it's obviously pretty dense stuff, but the point of it is that there is potentially room, or not room, but there is potentially a role for RICO in prosecuting this type of widespread far left activity that is organized and causing things like a murder. Let's see if we can get Scott Adams back. I have no idea why Scott Adams isn't playing. Try to reload.
So people say the line has been crossed and everything's different, and I don't know. But let me suggest a few things that might change. Number one, I saw Mike Cernovich helpfully point out that this would be a good time for congressional hearings now, he said in a post on X. He goes, every billionaire funding far left-wing extremism, Soros, Bill Gates, Reid Hoffman, massive RICO investigation now. Every dollar accounted for, every pass-through group's financial records public.
So that's from the Gateway Pundit, and that is Scott Adams from his Coffee with Scott Adams, and that is title of the article is Scott Adams on the murder of Charlie Kirk. I believe the Democrat Party has to be totally dismantled, and that's from the Gateway Pundit, like I said. So there he is, Scott Adams weighing in via Mike Cernovich, expressing there is concern or suspicion that this is a RICO issue and not just, and this is what I said I think I said it last time I was on the show. I said, I don't think this is a one-off thing. I don't think this is just some guy who felt like he wanted to kill Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk's a bad guy. I feel like this was something that was planned, and this is getting a little bit further than I've prepared for today. But there was a book on Amazon that said that Charlie Kirk assassination, and it was published on the 9th, and so Charlie Kirk was killed on the 10th. And then they were saying, well, that was a typo or this, that, or the other, and it was just AI generated and blah, blah, blah. So it has nothing to do with that. It's completely, it's not related. It was a AI generated book or something like that. And the fact that it was put up on the 9th and Charlie Kirk was not assassinated until the 10th has nothing to do with anything other than just typo. And then there was a SoundCloud Early on, if you were following after the killing, they were trying to find out who did it. There was a song uploaded to SoundCloud, and it was about Charlie Kirk dying at age 31. And that was done before Charlie Kirk was killed. I think it was done 2 weeks ago. So, like I said before, conspiracy theories are the truth 6 months in advance. What if there was a conspiracy out there? What if there was a known plan out there? And one of the first things you saw was, after the killing, was that this was planned online. And so we'll see where that leads. But that is the latest, at least as far as I know, about what's going on with Charlie Kirk and the Charlie Kirk assassination. Also, the latest on the more positive note was they had a memorial for Charlie Kirk yesterday, and I did not watch it, but I did watch part of his wife's speech, and I tell you, I only watched part of it because it was definitely a little bit too difficult to watch because of the sadness of the event. Speaking of sadness, this is a sad person, Stephen Colbert, and this is from Breitbart. It says here, Emmys 2025, Stephen Colbert suggests we're, quote, losing our country in acceptance speech. And let's see if we can play this here. Stephen Colbert talking to his brethren at, what is it, Emmys or something like that. Alrighty. Who knows how to play this on Twitter? So Stephen Colbert giving his
sometimes you only truly know how much you love something when you get a sense that you might be losing it.
Now, stop for a second. If you're not watching this on the TV, does that sound like a man to you? Let's replay.
Sometimes you only truly know how much you love something when you get a sense that you might be losing it.
Honestly, does that sound like a man if you're not watching that? Maybe it does.
And 10 years later, in September of 2025, my friends, I have never loved my country more desperately. God bless America. Stay strong, be brave, and if the elevator tries to bring you down, go crazy and punch a higher floor. Woo!
Woo! Now, that may just be him because he's losing his job, but I don't know. We'll see. But he's saying there, basically, America's going down the tubes, and so here we go. He says, sometimes you never know truly how much you love something until you get a sense that you might be losing it. My friends, I have never loved my country more desperately. God bless America. So we're losing the country, according to Stephen Colbert. We'll see. We'll see. So this is interesting. This is a take from the New York Times, which is from instapundit.com. It says, this is a screen grab from Ed Markey, who is a senator, United States senator. And it says here, Ed Markey said on X, I think it's X, or maybe it was Blue Sky, who the hell knows. Anyway, this is from instapundit.com. It says, Senator Ed Markey, Brazil is sending its election denier to prison for 27 years. We sent ours back to the White House. Brazil already lived under a military dictatorship and saw the threat clearly. We failed to protect our democracy. We need to learn from Brazil before it's too late. And he's got a screen grab of New York Times opinion guest essay. It says, Brazil just succeeded where America failed. So that's his take on it, Ed Markey. And then Nate Fisher says, this is what they would have done to Trump and his supporters if he had lost. We cannot risk letting these people take over again. And that's exactly right. That's exactly right, because this is the only reason that Trump's not in prison now is because he's Donald Trump. Donald Trump is extremely strong. Donald Trump is basically the only man that I could think of who could withstand, because of his resources and because of his mental strength and because of whatever divine providence, that could have withstood the things that they threw at him and still A, not be in prison, and B, beat the Democrats and become president again. Because Ed Markey wants him in prison. Ed Markey thinks he should be in prison because he's an election denier. He's an election denier. And so election deniers in other countries like Brazil, which Ed Markey apparently admirers send their people to prison. And they said that the former President Bolsonaro, they said he tried to do a coup, and that's why he's going to be sentenced to prison. And Nate Fisher says this is what they would have done to Trump and his supporters if they had lost, and that is true. That's from Instapundit. Let's see what. Oh, this guy just so he gets his 5 minutes of fame. This is a gentleman who is in Florida. His name is, and let's make him, just like I said, he needs his 5 minutes of fame. So this is old news, but this is Steve Cody, a councilman in Palmetto Bay, Florida, and this is from Breitbart. It says, Florida Democrat mocks Charlie Kirk's faith and posts calling him a, quote, fitting sacrifice. Steve Cody, a councilman in Palmetto, Florida, faced calls on Thursday, this was last week, to resign on Thursday after publishing a post on Facebook in which he appeared to mock the Christian faith of slain conservative commentator Charlie Kirk in the moments after his assassination. And this is what he says here. So clever. Quote, Charlie Kirk is a fitting sacrifice to our Lord, Smith & Wesson. Hallowed be thy names, Cody wrote. And then he later walked that back. And he walked it back and walked it back. And he said, I didn't mean it, blah, 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 blah. But that was his little smart-ass take on it. That was his little 2 cents. Steve Cody. I don't know if he's still working. Big guy. Tough guy. Steve Cody. There's his picture. Breitbart.com if you want to see what he looks like. Let's see what else we got here. So back to this RICO thing. So RICO is like, well, how are you going to say RICO's? What'd they do wrong? You know, and this is James O'Keefe.
We're wondering if these donors are victims of what appears to be a money laundering scheme. Cindy No of Annapolis, Maryland, who in the year 2022 allegedly contributed over 1,000 times to Act Blue, totaling $18,849.77. That means Cindy would have had to donate 3 times a day, every day, for the whole year. My name's James O'Keefe, and we're doing a story on the number of people that have donated. You did donate to Act Blue, right?
Once in a while.
What about $18,850?
No, I don't think so.
You know people are using your address?
I don't think so.
So she doesn't think so, but maybe they are. So that's one of the ways.
FEC data shows
that's one of the ways that they're going
the US to have been donating thousands of times per year. Some of these individuals' names and addresses.
That's one of the ways they're going to try to, well, they meaning if there's a RICO case, go through and say, is this organized racketeering activity? Is these donations that are made are small dollar donations, and they make a lot of donations. Let's just hear some more of that, just so you.
Are attached to over $200,000 in contributions. We went and knocked on a few of their doors to corroborate the data that we received. We're wondering if these donors are victims of what appears to be a money laundering scheme. Cindy No of Annapolis, Maryland, who in the year 2022 allegedly contributed over 1,000 times to Act Blue, totaling $18,849.77. That means Cindy would have had to donate 3 times a day, every day, for the whole year.
So that's obviously not happening. So what? We're going to have to find out. We're going to have to find out. And we'll see. We'll see if they do. We'll see if they do find out, because that's the job of the Justice Department, is to find out if laws have been broken. And if they are, then we have to figure out what to do about them. I wanted to play something else, which was having to do with Charlie Kirk. And that was, let me see if I can find it here. So it was Corey Harrison, who is the son of Harrison of Pawn, what is it called? Can't remember now. Anyway, the Pawn Show. Corey Harrison, and he's the son, and he had a little something on, he had something that he was wanting to talk about, his little 2 cents, and I thought it was such a concise, clear distillation of how so many people feel about, and let me see.
I'm just going to throw it out there. I never thought I'd agree with Democrats, man. thoughts and prayers aren't enough this time. There needs to be action. I'm done with this. This is ridiculous. You guys ever notice it's one side? It's one side every single time. Do you know what happens when you sit there, CNN, MSNBC, when you sit there and you demonize somebody, you call them a Nazi? Nazis are supposed to be evil. You're literally telling the entire country, that every one of your viewers, everybody that watches you online, that this man, it's okay to kill Nazis, right? You don't like the way he thinks. Who's the Nazi? You guys literally let this man die on your watch. You guys are the one that contributed to this. It was every single one of you that supported anything that they said. Every Democrat, every news channel, anybody that ever said, if you don't think the way we think, this man is a Nazi. This man had 3 children. He was a pastor. He was a father. And he was loved by a bunch of people. You guys killed this man, whether you pulled the trigger yourself. There needs to be action. There needs to be something done. And there needs to be perp walks for this. You guys created a monster. You guys have to deal with it.
Okay, and I cut the last bit there. And I'm not out of disrespect to Corey Harrison, but to try to keep this family friendly. But he basically said what he thought 3 times: fire truck yourself, fire truck yourself, fire truck yourself. And so I'm not going to play that part, but that's what he said. Anyway, I thought it was great distillation, because he's right. You know, you meaning the media, you meaning the politicians, you have this blood on your hands because you know that Charlie Kirk wasn't a fascist, and you just used that to score quick political points, and now a man's dead, and it's on you. It is on you. It's unacceptable to do this and leave a family destroyed so that you can make a few quick political points. And you should have to face it personally yourself, but you should also have to face it publicly, because you caused this in part, and it continues this day. I just don't really. I don't know if there's going to be any comeuppance, because the media is what it is. That's how they make their living. And also Democrats in the media, Democrats in the media and Democrats in office, certain ones of them will continue to perform this way. And whether it kills more people or not, I don't know if it will change. What will change is if people start becoming caught, if there is some type of, like I said, organized activity that's related to this, and go to prison. Then things will change. But until then, I don't know if anything will change, because it's effective. They raise money off of it. They score political points off of it. They rile up their base because of it. And so, aside from maybe taking a few shots like this from people on the internet, they're celebrated themselves in their circles as heroes, and they get standing ovations, Emmy Awards for being heroes. So I don't know that it will change. If it does change, then great. If it doesn't change, then you just have to do your best. But back to the open carry thing, that's important, because there are madmen out there, madmen and madwomen, mostly men. But there are crazy people out there. And if you are able to and willing to and understand how to, you should protect yourself. Not just from politically crazy people, but from anybody who's wanting to do you damage, wanting to do you harm. And if you're able to, like I said, and you understand how to do it and can do it safely, then you should arm yourself. You can do that now in Florida fairly easily. All you have to do is, if you're not familiar with a gun, become familiar with one, and then you don't even have to have a background check. Concealed carry permit anymore. You can just carry it, constitutional carry, and now it's open carry in Florida. And but it's important. It's important. Tracy saved herself one time. She was trying to get on the interstate, and 4 Utes pulled out in front of her on the on-ramp and stopped and slowly got out of the vehicle and started to make their way towards Tracy, who was in her car right behind them. And so Tracy said, oh crap, because these were 4 Utes, and they weren't 4 Mormon-looking Utes. They were 4 urban Utes, and the 4 urban Utes walked toward her car, and Tracy smartly reached over to her purse, which was next to her in the passenger seat, and drew her Glock and showed them that she was drawing her Glock. And the 4 Utes got back in their car and drove their little asses down the interstate. And then not shortly after that, one of her friends sent her a video, and it showed the same situation. And it says, what would you do in this situation? And it was a car that was going onto the on-ramp, and a car cuts it off, stops, gets out of the car, and starts to walk towards that person. And that person in that car in the video chose to ram the car in front of them and push that car out of the way and get the hell out of there. They were going to be carjacked, most likely. Or they were 4 Utes were going to maybe come witness to Tracy and try to get her to join the Lord. Nobody knows for sure, but maybe not. Anyway, the person in that video, so it turns out this is a tactic. So just word of warning to you, if you're able to and you're willing to, protect yourself. And if you're not, then that's your business. I know there's some people that aren't, and they're culturally opposed to it. And hell, that's everyone's right to be culturally opposed to protecting yourself, being culturally opposed to firearms or personally opposed, whatever. That's your right. But you don't have to be. You do not have to be. And I am always armed, just so you know, if you're out there. And so that's good for you too, because I remember there was a time when I was watching this thing. This guy says, I forgot what it was, but somebody was saying something online about they hate the fact that people can walk around with guns and they don't know because they're concealed, and they hate that. And the guy commented on it. He said, well, the fact that I'm concealed is good for me because it protects me, but it's also good because in spite of your unwillingness to protect yourself, if something did happen to you, I would be there to protect you as well. So that's a good point. Anyway, this is Dr. Tommy Show. Join us on drtommy.com for more Dr. Tommy Show options as far as streaming and listening live. This is going to be, I'm going to see if I can play this and see who allows it. This is the Red Clay Strays. I'm going to play it again. I played it last week, but we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with double sound, and now this is not double sound, so I'm going to play this as we leave. Thank you for joining us today. Join us next time. Bye-bye.